That first night in the car was supposed to be a one-off. At least, that's what I told myself the next morning while I buttered my toast and watched Tom scroll the news on his phone. "Sleep okay?" he asked, not looking up. "Yeah," I said, my voice somehow normal. "Just tired." Inside, I felt anything but normal. Every time I blinked, I could feel the ghost of Liam's mouth on mine, the sound of the rain, the way my heart had pounded like I'd run a marathon. At work, I avoided his desk on purpose. I made myself busy, buried in emails and spreadsheets, pretending that if I didn't look at him, last night could dissolve into some weird dream. Just before lunch, my screen lit up. Liam. "Hey, you all right?" My stomach flipped. I stared at the message for a full minute before answering. "Me." "Yeah. Just flat out this morning." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Liam. About last night, I'm sorry if I made things weird." My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could have written "it was a mistake" and hit send. I could have saved both of us a lot of mess. Instead, I typed, "Me." It was a lot, but it wasn't just you. A moment later, he replied, "Liam. I can't pretend it didn't happen, or that I don't want to see you again, but I don't want to wreck your life, Han." No one called me Han except him. Me. My life was already off. You didn't cause that. I hit send, then pressed my lips together so hard they hurt. That afternoon, he came by my desk. Everyone else was still in a meeting. The office had that late-day lull, keyboards clicking, aircon humming. "You've been hiding," he said softly, leaning on the partition. "I've been working," I answered without looking up. "Hannah," he said. And the way he said my name made me glance at him despite myself. His eyes were serious, none of the usual jokes. "We need some rules," he murmured, "or this is going to get out of hand." "That's funny," I said, my voice a bit sharper than I meant, "because it feels like it already has." He huffed out a quiet breath, almost a laugh. "Come for a coffee? Just downstairs. Public, bright lights, safe as houses." I should have said no. Instead, I grabbed my wallet. The cafe under our building was busy, loud enough to blur the edges of our conversation. We sat in a little corner by the window, 2 colleagues on a break. Totally ordinary if you walked past. My heart, however, was not ordinary. It was thudding like I'd had 6 espressos instead of 1. "We can't do this," I said, fingers wrapped around the warm takeaway cup. "Whatever this is." "I know," he said. "Trust me, I know. You're married, I'm not an idiot." He paused. "But I also know I haven't felt like this in a very long time." I stared at the table, at the tiny sugar crystals someone had spilled. "This isn't some rom-com," I muttered. "There's a bloke at home who makes me tea and takes the bins out. I can't just burn my life down because I'm bored." Liam was quiet for a beat. "I don't want you to burn anything down," he said. "I just can't pretend I don't feel what I feel when I'm around you." His knee bumped mine under the table. It could have been an accident. It wasn't. I didn't move my leg away. He lowered his voice. "I think about you when I wake up," he said. "When I'm driving in, when I'm sitting in stupid meetings. It's like you've taken over all the white space in my head." My cheeks went hot. I hated how much I needed to hear that. How much I'd missed being wanted it that way. "You're not making this easier," I said. "I'm not trying to make it easy," he replied. "I'm trying to make it honest." We sat like that, knees touching, coffee cooling, the line between us stretching dangerous and thin. When we walked back upstairs, we didn't touch. But every step felt like a choice I wasn't ready to own. The first proper near miss happened a few days later on a Thursday night. Tom and I were in the kitchen, half cooking, half chatting. There was music playing low from a Bluetooth speaker, something chill and forgettable. I was chopping onions. He was at the stove. My phone, face down on the bench, buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. Tom glanced over. "Popular tonight," he joked. "Probably spam," I said, a bit too quickly, wiping my hands on a tea towel. He reached for the phone before I could. "I'll chuck it on silent for you." My heart jumped into my throat. "Tom, leave it." Too late, he had already flipped it over. The screen lit up in his hand. "Liam, new messages." The world seemed to narrow to that tiny rectangle of light. Tom frowned lightly. "Work guy." "Yeah," I said, forcing my voice to stay level. "He's just chasing some numbers. I said I'd send them through tonight." Tom shrugged and put the phone back down. Screen up now. "Tell him he can wait till tomorrow," he said, turning back to the pan. "They don't pay you enough to be on call all night." "Yeah," I managed. "I will." He didn't see my hands shake as I picked up the phone and slid it into my pocket. I read the messages in the hallway, heart slamming. "Liam, I can't stop thinking about the car." "Liam, about the way you looked at me before you kissed me." "Liam, I'm in the supermarket and I swear every song is about you." I stared at the words, breathing shallowly. "Me, Tom saw your name. Please don't text like that when I'm home." "Liam, shit, sorry, you okay?" "Me, no, yes, I don't know, just be careful." "Liam, tell me when it's safe to call. I want to hear your voice." Safe. The word felt ridiculous. Nothing about this was safe. Back in the kitchen, Tom handed me a spoon. "Taste this. Think it needs more salt?" I took the spoon, the ordinary little domestic act almost unbearable. "It's good," I said, my mouth suddenly dry. "It's really good." The next time Liam and I crossed a line was in the office stairwell. It was a random Tuesday arvo. The lift was out again, and everyone was grumbling about having to use the stairs. I ducked out of a meeting for some air, needing a break before I snapped at someone who didn't deserve it. The stairwell was quiet, lit by ugly fluorescent lights. It smelled faintly of dust and cleaning spray. I was leaning on the rail, eyes closed, when the door creaked open. "Thought you might be hiding out here," Liam said. I opened my eyes. "How?" "You've got a face," he said. "Your I'm fine face is terrible, by the way." I tried to laugh, but it came out thin. "I nearly had a heart attack in my own kitchen last week," I said. Tom picked up my phone. Liam winced. "You okay?" "Only because he's too trusting," I said quietly. "If he'd actually read the messages—" I didn't finish the sentence. I didn't need to. Liam stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Look, if this is too much, if you want to stop, don't say that." I cut in, sharper than I meant. He looked at me, really looked at me. Something in his expression softened. "You're shaking," he murmured. "I'm angry at myself," I said. "And at you. And at this whole stupid situation. And at how much I look forward to your name on my screen. It's pathetic." "It's not pathetic," he said. "It's human." There was a pause. The air between us felt heavier than the concrete beneath our feet. "I keep thinking about the car," he added quietly. About how you tasted like rain and mints and bad decisions. I let out a helpless little laugh, half sob, half exhale. You can't say stuff like that, I whispered. He stepped closer again, so close I could feel the warmth of him, the faint smell of his cologne. Tell me to back off, he said. Properly. And I will. I looked up at him. It would have taken one word. Back, I said, but my hands betrayed me, finding the front of his shirt, fingers curling in the fabric. He swallowed. Hannah. Before I could overthink it, I pulled him down and kissed him. This time there was no rain, no fogged windows, no cover of darkness. Just concrete steps and harsh lighting and the stupidly loud sound of my own heart as his mouth moved urgently against mine. His hand slid to the small of my back, pulling me closer. My body pressed against his, my wedding ring digging lightly into his shirt as I held on. The kiss deepened, years of restraint and loneliness and wanting crashing together in a rush that made my knees weak. The stairwell door suddenly banged on another floor above us. We broke apart, breathing hard, staring up toward the echoing sound of footsteps. Shit, he whispered. I stepped back so quickly I almost tripped on the step. Someone's coming, I hissed. We smoothed our clothes, wiped our faces with shaky hands. A moment later, one of the guys from IT pushed through the door 2 flights up, earbuds in, oblivious. He jogged past without even glancing down at us. I didn't exhale properly until the door swung shut behind him. That was close, Liam muttered. That was insane, I snapped, my voice low. We can't keep doing this at work. He nodded, still breathless. Then don't meet me at work, he said. Meet me somewhere else. I stared at him. What, like a hotel? I asked, the word tasting like something both thrilling and dirty. He shook his head. No, too obvious, too cliché. Just a drink somewhere no one knows us. Somewhere we can talk without bumping into your boss in the bloody stairwell. My pulse was still pounding in my ears. I should have said no. Again. Text me, I said instead. We'll see. That Friday, I lied to Tom again. There's a late meeting, I said, slipping on my jacket. End of quarter stuff. I might be home a bit later. He frowned lightly. On a Friday? I shrugged. New manager's keen. Wants to hit the ground running. Tom rolled his eyes. Wankers. All right. Want me to keep dinner warm? I'll grab something on the way, I said, my voice too breezy. Don't wait up if you're knackered. He stepped over, kissed my forehead. Don't let them push you around, he said. You work hard enough as it is. Guilt washed through me so fast I nearly turned around and cancelled. But the part of me that had been half asleep for years was wide awake now, dragging me out the door. I met Liam in a small bar 2 suburbs over. One of those dim places with fairy lights and mismatched chairs, where everyone looked like they were on a date or hiding from someone. He was already there, sitting in a corner booth. When he saw me, he stood up, that crooked smile flashing across his face before he caught himself and reined it in. You made it, he said. I shouldn't have, I replied, sliding into the seat opposite him. But you did, he said softly. We talked about work, about music, about nonsense. All of it threaded through with that electric awareness, the constant undercurrent of, we are not supposed to be here like this. At one point, he reached across the table and brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. The touch was small, simple. It sent a shiver all the way down my spine. You look beautiful, he said. Don't, I murmured. Can't help it, he said. It's true. His hand didn't go back to his side. It slid down, fingers resting lightly around my wrist, thumb tracing slow circles over my pulse. Your heart's racing, he said quietly. Yours isn't, I shot back. He smiled, eyes holding mine. I'm trying to pretend I'm cooler than I am. Time blurred a little. One drink became two. The bar got louder around us, but our little booth felt like a bubble. My phone buzzed in my bag. Tom. I didn't have to look to know. I felt the vibration like a slap. Is that him? Liam asked. Probably, I said. Do you need to answer? There was no accusation in his voice, just a question. I stared at my bag, the weight of it suddenly immense. In a minute, I said. I'll say we're still in the meeting. Something flickered across Liam's face. Not joy exactly, but something close to relief. Later, outside, the air was cool and smelled like rain again. We stood near the corner, half in the glow of a streetlight, half in shadow. I should go, I said. I know, he replied. Neither of us moved. He stepped closer, his hand finding my waist like it belonged there. Hannah, he whispered. And the way he said my name made everything else fall away for a second. We kissed again, deeper this time, with the kind of intensity that made the rest of the street fade out. My hands slid up his chest, into his hair. His fingers tightened at my hip, pulling me against him. For a moment, I forgot about houses and mortgages and wedding rings and bins. There was just the thrill of being wanted, of wanting back. A car drove past slowly. I flinched and pulled away, breathless, wiping my lips with the back of my hand like a teenager. We have to stop, I said, though I sounded anything but convincing. He searched my face. Do you want to stop? He asked. The honest answer sat heavy on my tongue. I swallowed it. I started, then shook my head. I don't know what I want. That's the worst part. He nodded, jaw tight. Text me when you get home, he said. So I know you're okay. I nodded and turned towards the station, my legs shaky, my phone buzzing again in my bag. By the time I walked into my kitchen that night, the lie had layers. I told Tom the meeting had been long, that traffic had been a nightmare. I laughed at some joke he made about idiots in SUVs, my own laughter sounding strange in my ears. When he hugged me, I felt the faint smell of his deodorant, familiar and solid. For a second, I rested my face against his chest and had a wild urge to confess everything, to tell him I was slipping, that I was scared of the person I was becoming. Instead, I pulled back and asked what was on telly. Later, in bed, with Tom snoring softly beside me, the day collapsed in on itself. My phone lit up on the bedside table. Liam. Home safe? Me. Yeah, Tom's asleep. There was a small pause. Liam. I keep replaying tonight in my head. The way you looked at me when you said you didn't know what you wanted. Me. Because it's true. I feel like I'm standing in the middle of two lives, and if I move too fast in either direction, everything will crack. Liam. For what it's worth, I don't want to just be the bloke you text in the dark, hon. I stared at that line for a long time, the glow of the screen lighting up the room in a cold little rectangle. Before I could answer, I heard Tom shift beside me. Hannah, he mumbled, half asleep. You all right? Yeah, I whispered, locking my phone and sliding it face down. Just checking something for work, go back to sleep. He made a small, trusting sound and rolled over. Lying there in the dark between my sleeping husband and my silent phone, I realized something that scared me more than any near miss. This wasn't just about excitement anymore. It wasn't just about kissing in stairwells or sneaking out for drinks. Feelings were getting involved, real ones. And feelings don't stay hidden forever. Because while I was juggling messages and excuses and stolen moments, life was quietly lining up a situation where the two worlds I was trying to keep separate would slam into each other. If you think the near miss in the kitchen was bad, the moment that really nearly broke everything open started with a simple notification and Tom saying, "Who's Liam?" in the middle of a perfectly normal Sunday morning. But that's part 3.